Hey, this is Matt at the Quantum Leap podcast, and I'm really excited to have with me today a special guest from the comic strip era of the show. I'm a big fan of the Innovation comics, so I'm super excited to have been able to track down the one and only Bill Spangler. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining me and for your time. Just to give the viewers and the listeners a bit of background, Bill wrote Getaway, which is the 8th issue of the comic, and it's the one that delved into what the project looked like more than any of the other comics, which never did that. And before it started becoming quite a mainstay of the TV series, so this was a big deal. Before we start talking about Quantum Leap, though, could I just ask maybe if you could share a little bit about what you were doing at the time? Were you known in the comics industry by that point? Were there other books that you were working on at that point?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what other books I was working on at that point, but I had sold a number of comics by then when I submitted to Innovation for the Quantum Leap. I'm probably best known for doing original stories set in the universe of Robotech, a very early anime import. I also did a couple of original characters, Bloodwing, which we used to sell as the Shadow meets Blade Runner, and I also wrote Alien Nation, some original Alien Nation stories. And I was involved with 2 or 3 attempts to bring back a show from the 50s called Tom Corbett's Space Cadet. This was back when Space Cadet was still a good thing.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. That's amazing. And I'm a huge fan of Alien Nation as well. I didn't know you were involved in those books. That's great.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Alien Nation TV show. I think for me, the movie was kind of missed opportunities, but I love the TV show. If it were still on, I think we'd all have a better attitude towards immigrants than we do now.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so there were quite a few books around at the time that you'd been involved in. So, what prompted you to pitch to Innovation for Quantum Leap?
Well, we had been following the show, and I wanted to try to break into Innovation, and I wanted to try to submit something that nobody had seen before, and this seemed like the best way to go about that. Was to do it from the viewpoint of somebody waking up in the waiting room. I had met the editor of the Quantum Leap comics, George Broderick, and I submitted a proposal to him. I think it started out as just being totally from the viewpoint of Vic waking up in the waiting room. We retracted that for a little bit and did like half of the issue from Vic's viewpoint and half as a more standard Sam story. And we had what was the big surprise, of course, at that point was that the TV show ended up doing a similar story, and it ran about 2 weeks before the comic actually came out. You can imagine my surprise.
Yes.
The good news, the funny part about this was too, there was a prominent comic reviewer here in America at the time, a guy named Don Thompson. And he wrote shortly after the 2 issues came out, the issue and the TV show came out, said, the comic is similar to what they just did on TV, but the comic makes sense, which has always been one of my favorite reviews.
That's what a lovely thing to say. And I mean, they're both really good. I assume you're talking about Killing Time, which was it's a really fun episode of the show, and Getaway, I've already said, one of my favourite ones from the strip. So, the fact that you both decided to go there, or that you decided to go there at the same time as the show, what a huge coincidence. But as I mentioned in the intro, kind of groundbreaking for you to have wanted to explore something set in the future. Before it had become a regular thing, because there were several episodes in season 5 where we got to see the waiting room. Can you tell me a bit about what you were thinking in terms of what you wanted to show of the future? And one thing I want to particularly pick up on is Al has that conversation with Vic about, and presumably he's exaggerating a bit, about how sort of dystopian the future's become and how it's really not all that what it's cracked up to be. Where did all that come from for you?
I honestly don't remember. A lot of it. I think one of the things that I enjoyed about that issue was writing Al's dialogue, trying to get that sounding authentic. I think it may have been that Al was just trying to keep Vic calm and keep him from doing something melodramatic. I mean, in Killing Time, what we see of the world outside the base isn't a particularly happy place. So it's consistent. It's consistent, but I don't remember there being I think I was mostly just trying to keep Vic. I was just trying to make a connection with Vic.
Did you? And this, I'm not particularly familiar with how comics work and the sort of the general production of them. Did you have much input into the whole look that was created for the future? Because it's like from that very first page, it's all very much like there's an operation going on, and there's that Vic's point of view looking up at these rather terrifying faces looking down at him. Did that come from you, or was that more from the illustrator?
I think that was largely mine. So certainly the artist Mike Deodato had input, but I think it started from descriptions I put in the script.
Okay, so you had, and I wasn't sure whether it was the future idea that came first or the leap idea, and you've already shared that it was you wanted to do something set in the future. When it came to the leap idea, do you recall if there were any other ideas that you were thinking of, or was it just, you know what, actually this scenario where there's kind of a family almost held hostage, is that just where you went straight away, or could there have been alternate stories bubbling under maybe?
I don't think we discussed anything other than the family being held hostage for the Sam side of things. I think that was pretty straightforward.
Obviously, this was issue 8 of 12. So coming towards the end of, I know Innovation folded around about the time that the Quantum Leap, around about the time that the Quantum Leap comic book ended. Did you have hopes to work further with them? Was Getaway a one-off, or was there a hope that you'd be able to return to the Quantum Leap universe in future?
I think my understanding at the time is there probably wasn't going to be another issue with Innovation. Actually, as I understand it, the Quantum Leap license went to an American comic company called Armada.
Yeah.
But they folded before they actually published anything. I introduced myself to the editors of Armada, and I think I actually pitched a Quantum Leap Sliders crossover to them.
Really?
But I don't have the. Yeah.
I know. I know a few people because they had the Sliders license as well, and I know Andy Mangels tried that, JC Vaughan, a couple of others. I hadn't heard your name as well. My goodness! So the Sliders Quantum Leap crossover. There's a fourth name to throw into the fray. Amazing. But sorry, I interrupted you because I was so excited by that. But can you recall any of that, or just the fact that you were hoping to do something Sliders related?
I think I sent them like a 300-word outline, but I don't remember much of the details. I think. I'm sorry. No, I don't remember much of the details at this point.
No, that's fine. It's a long time to look back over something that didn't actually happen, so not a surprise. But I'm just really, it just amazes me how, I know Sliders and Quantum Leap, I guess, have quite a similar fandom. So how many people tried so hard to get those two to cross over, and it never happened. Such a shame. So, is there anything else you can share with me from your time working with Innovation, or on that Quantum Leap issue specifically?
Well, like I said, there was a little bit of give and take as to whether or not Quantum Leap would take something this far removed from their usual story. George Broderick was a big champion of doing doing something unusual from the viewpoint of the guy who wakes up in the waiting room. The publisher was a little more concerned as to whether or not the Quantum Leap production company would go for this. Although we didn't know they were probably developing the idea for Killing Time at the same time. So I'm very grateful to George Broderick to kind of promoting the story with Innovation and everything.
Yeah, I think all the readers are as well, and it's just interesting, like you say, how that managed to get past the people at Universal with the licenses that nobody picked up on the similar storylines, but what a couple of great storylines, and both Getaway and Killing Time. So yeah, what a fantastic legacy to have been a part of.
And of course, now that we know that Magic sort of remembers waking up in the waiting room too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's amazingly everything you did, even though you would have had no way of knowing it. It's ended up being consistent with what they did in season 5, and then what they've done again.
For the record, I don't have. We're on streaming services, so I haven't seen the entire first season of the new Quantum Leap yet. I've only seen about 5 episodes. I like it quite a bit, but I've only seen about five episodes, and what descriptions I've heard of the cliffhanger, it's going to be something.
It's worth sticking with if you can get access to the later episodes, because the first half dozen, you can tell the writers are still kind of trying to figure out how to do something new and also respect the original, and they're still trying to figure out what the actors are capable of. It gets to the second half of the season, and it's just a whole new show. It's phenomenal.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think
I really like the fact that it's a sequel rather than just a reboot.
Yes, absolutely. And sadly, no comic license yet. But I gather Universal aren't always that good with, or NBC aren't always that good with licenses. But we can hope.
Well, I'm hoping with this go ahead for the second season that they might start issuing some licenses. Heaven knows if they do, I will present myself to the editors.
Yeah, well, of course, given how awesome Getaway was, and how forward thinking it was with where the show went, it would be fantastic to see your name back in a comic for Quantum Leap. And Bill, just to say again, thank you so much for sparing your time today. It's been really fun talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I enjoyed it too.